5 sources of inspiration. Here's the first one. Deciding. If you just make a decision, it can be sometimes the day that starts you on a brand new journey. Now, some decisions are incidental and some are small and some, are part of a working day. But sometimes decision making can be one of the most important days of your life. Maybe a decision you've postponed, and now you understand the penalty of postponing that decision. You've got to do something, and finally you come to the conclusion, today is the day. I now decide. And whether you decide on a new direction, whether you decide on a refinement in philosophy, whether you decide to act when before you haven't acted, you decide on a series of things that you're going to do, you decide. Deciding can be such an incredibly important, very exciting, inspirational day. Also, deciding sometimes starts the process of lifting our self-esteem. Sometimes when you look back on it, the day that you decided was just about as exciting as the day when you finally accomplished the project. That when you finally made the decision, you finally got the monkey off your back, as we say in English. You finally, got through whatever barriers kept you from making that decision, and finally you made a decision. And now it seems like the sky is blue and the air is clear and your mind is ready and, the adrenaline starts to flow, things start to happen to you from that moment of decision. So that can be an incredible source of inspiration. Now, if you don't follow through, it's not going to last all that long. If you decide and then, postpone and you decide but you still don't get to it for a week or a month or a year, soon all that energy and that source of inspiration is all dissipated. So deciding is inspiring, but not for that long. But once you decide, it can be a very powerful day. But now, of course, you must follow through. But if there's some things you've been postponing, some decisions you have just, hadn't gotten to, I would ask you to just, take out your journal and just go through, what have I been postponing that's not going to be better for my health? It's not going to be better for my future. It's not going to enhance my finances. Maybe a problem needs to be solved. I got to decide when I'm going to do it and how I'm going to proceed. I need to get to it. I promise you, if you'll go through some of that list and start making those decisions, your inspiration will start to flow, and those could be very critically important, exciting days. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. Indecision means the door is still closed. Indecision means the opportunity waits. Indecision means what could be is postponed or may never be. Those are all the penalties of indecision. And sometimes we can't make a snap judgment. We can't decide immediately on something so important. But after a while, we must understand sometimes the heavy penalty of putting off our decision making. So, one source of inspiration, deciding. Here's the next one. Planning. Now that you've decided and you start making plans, it's incredible what can happen as a source of inspiration. When finally what's in your head, what's in your imagination, now finally starts to take shape on paper. When I first heard about network marketing, I was 25 years old. And I heard some of the testimonials, and I heard that people have gotten rich, and I've heard that it's changed people's lives. And I've heard that you could start with nothing and become something. But let me tell you what was exciting. When I finally made the decision, yes, I was going to be part of the industry, yes, I was going to make it part of my marketing future, what was really exciting was when I sat down and started making plans. I started committing imagination and belief to paper. I started writing it down. I started as we often do, drawing those circles. What if I had 5? What if I had 10? And then when I had a concept of what that could bring for me, then I said, how can I reach the first 5? How can I reach the first 10? What could I do? Starting to make those plans, I'm telling you, I remember those days as if they were yesterday. They were so exciting. I had a concept of what I wanted. I had a dream of what could happen for me. If it could happen for others, maybe it could happen for me. But when I started putting it on paper and started making the plans, that was an incredible source of inspiration for me. Because the plans seemed to now start making it real. That what I had thought about, what I dreamed about, now I'm actually getting to it by making a plan. However, you can make all the plans in the world, and it is a source of inspiration for only so long. And you can make one plan, and then you can make another plan. And you can make some plans today, and the next day you can make some more plans, and the next day you can make some more plans. And it is a very exciting source of inspiration, but only for a while. I'm sure we would all agree that making plans, that inspiration wouldn't last for a week. Now, that inspiration now must drive you to do number 3. The first source of inspiration is deciding. Second source of inspiration is planning. And now, here's a big source of inspiration: beginning. Getting started. Actually turning thought and the notes on the paper, the plans, actually now committing it to action. Getting started. And beginning can be an incredible source of inspiration. Guess what you can say when you begin a change in your diet? When you begin to take the Herbalife products, guess what you can say? I'm on a new track. I have carved out for myself a new beginning. I'm on my way to the most incredible health. I will never be the same again. I'm leaving the old, undisciplined part of me. I'm leaving that behind. I'm a new person. I'm taking my first shake. I'm swallowing the first tablets. I made my first, walk around the block that I'd thought about for so long and never did. I finally did it today. I've started. I have begun. That is an incredible source of inspiration. And that is to start, to begin. You cannot believe what can happen to your self-esteem. And many of you have already experienced it. I'm just asking you to begin something new in all the areas of your life. Maybe you've always thought about benevolence and you just haven't gotten started, or you haven't made the plans, or you haven't made the decision. I'm asking you to start taking that stuff now that's in your head, that imagination, which is very powerful. And it's a great source of inspiration in itself. But then I'm asking you then to decide, use that inspiration. Then I'm asking you to make plans, begin to make plans, use that inspiration. And then if you take that first step, it can be the first step of an incredible journey. And when Mark had his first meeting, when Mark recruited his first distributor, when Mark got his first customer, his grandmother using the product, when Mark got that first few yeses from people, and he started the process, as simple as it was, from the trunk of his car, as crude as the literature was in the beginning, it was a start. And so beginning can be an incredible source of inspiration. And beginning can be many things. Beginning a new commitment to learning. You say, I'm going to have a library second to none, and I bought the first book of my new library today. I'm going to be surrounded by information and inspiration. The cassette tapes and the videos and the books. I'm going to have a library second to none. I've thought about it. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And, I've started making plans. I've provided some space in my room for my expanded library. But here's what's exciting. I got the first book today. I've gotten started. This is just the first of many many books. This is the first of a whole flow of information for me. This is the first time. You want to learn a new skill and you sign up for a class. Let's say you want to learn accounting or something, and you sign up for the class and you take the first class. You get started. You thought about it. You made some plans for it. You made some time for it. But there's nothing like sitting there in the class with the pen in your hand and the pad ready to take notes. Here I am. I'm starting on a new journey of learning. Remember that. Beginning is a fantastic source of inspiration. Planning is an incredible source of inspiration. Deciding is an unbelievable source of inspiration. But now beginning only lasts so long. If you begin that first week and then you don't continue, yes, you'll be inspired by deciding and planning and beginning. But all of that now will start to fade away if you don't do number 4. One of the great sources of inspiration is progressing. Once you've gotten started, now you proceed, you progress. Now you go to class the second week, you go to class the third week. But it's not only progressing in terms of time, it's progressing in terms of what you're learning, progressing in terms of getting the information that you hadn't discovered before. Now you're excited about that. Progress. One of the greatest sources of inspiration is progress. When you start jogging around the block, and at first it's a little difficult, and then it's 2 blocks, and then you go around 4 or 5 times. But then you notice you're breathing easier. You notice when you go up a flight of stairs, you're not out of breath. And it suddenly occurs to you, in a fairly short period of time, you're making progress. You can tell within a short period of time, I'm making progress on my oxygen supply. I'm making progress on losing weight. Then when you start making progress in your business, your ability to make contacts, your ability to talk to people. Being so shy, you decided one day, hey, I've had enough with being too shy. I've made the decision. I'm making some plans. I'm going to begin talking to people. And you start, and at first it's difficult. But then very quickly, and it doesn't take a year, I'm telling you, it doesn't take a month, it doesn't take a week. I promise you, even though you're a little bit shy, if you'll just start to introduce yourself, if you'll just start to talk to someone you've never talked to before, just get started. I promise you, in a fairly short period of time, because 2 things are happening. One is deciding to overcome a liability, but also understanding that with this new skill now, with this new ability, and with my progress, no telling what I can accomplish. Because if I can get over the fear of talking to 1, I can get over the fear of talking to number 10, number 50, number 100. And by the time I get to number 50 and number 100, my self-confidence is going to be so strong, my self-esteem is going to be so high, my new skill is going to show such incredible progress that I will never look back on the old ways. So, what an incredible source of inspiration, progressing. I jotted this down. Unhappiness is simply the lack of progress toward a preset goal. If you're not making progress, see, that's when unhappiness sets in. But here's where happiness begins. Making progressive progress. You don't have to arrive all at once. You don't have to have it immediately. But as long as you're making progress, as long as progress is part of your experience now, it is a fantastic source of inspiration. Now here's the next one. Source of inspiration, and that is achieving. When you finally have arrived at that goal that you set, I want to have this much experience and be able to do this by 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 6 months from now. And finally, that 6 months passes, and there you are. Finally, the time passes, and you have it. Finally, the time passes, and the skill is now beginning to be polished, and it is so unique and effective. Achieving is an incredible source of inspiration. But here's what we notice. When you do achieve, whatever you set out in the beginning, where you decided and planned and you got started and you progressed, when you finally achieve, that achievement is not much more inspiration than when you decided. It's a different kind of inspiration. It's a different kind of feeling to having arrived. Knowing that you've got many other objectives to accomplish, many other places you want to go, things you want to do, the person you want to become. But at least I've got this one. You know, I've done this one. I remember way back when I wanted to do the training and I wanted to do teaching, I would like to do seminars, because I saw people that had such a magnificent effect on their audience. They used the language to such an unbelievable degree. I could tell that something was mixed from their heart and their soul and their mind and their vocabulary, and this mixture of stuff together presented to someone's ears to hear and a heart maybe to believe and a mind to understand that the most incredible magic could occur. I thought to myself, if I could possibly do that, it would be the greatest feeling in the world. Later, I've come to have one more goal, which I just probably won't ever attain, and that is to be a singer. To not only speak the poetry, to not only speak the language, but to sing it, accompanied by music. In my opinion, that's probably the most awesome impact you can have on any person or any group or any audience, is the ability to communicate a message or a poem or lyrics or what you feel or what you know, to communicate it by music and by song. To me, it is the most incredible impact that one human can have on another or have on an audience. But next to that is to be able to feel strong about some ideas and have the ability to put it into words, to put it into language, drive it by emotion, have it mixed with experience, you know, and all the stuff that goes on in your head and your heart and your soul, and deliver it to the best of your ability, even as I'm doing today, to an unseen audience. But since I can visualize the audience and where it goes from here and where it may go beyond, or where it reaches even at the moment, that inspires me to do my best to come up with ideas that will be meaningful and helpful. To me, this is the most incredible experience. You know, the song, I will never get there because, you know, I don't have that particular powerful talent. But next to it, I'm telling you, you can have next to that the most incredible effect on someone else. Without a doubt, you can stir someone's imagination. You can reach that achievement. You can be there. What you've wished for and what you've dreamed for, if you will draw from the source of deciding, that inspiration, and the inspiration of planning, the inspiration of beginning, and the inspiration of progressing, then you will know this incredible inspiration of achieving, of finally getting there, finally being the person, finally accomplishing the goal.
What I'd like for you to do right now, I want you to think about your dream. Think about your dream right now. I want you to think about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you. I do not believe that any of us have dreams that were not given to us for the purpose of accomplishing those particular dreams. I started out, as was indicated, very humble beginnings. I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that. But what we can say, that I can have my dream. As we work on it day in and day out, no one, ladies and gentlemen, could have convinced me when I started out working on my dream. And I want you to think about whatever your dream is. I was willing to take a chance, and most people won't do that. Most of the people that you talk to, these are not risk takers. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. That in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. That you have greatness within you, that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine, that you're greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim. I was born in Miami, Florida, in an area in an abandoned building on a hard linoleum floor with my twin brother. We were adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. But I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student. When he came in, he said to me, "Young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you." And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, "Why not?" "I'm not one of your students." He said, "It doesn't matter. Follow my directions." I said, "I can't do that, sir, because I'm educable, mentally retarded." And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
I just make mine so simple that it really doesn't have those complications. If on your goal list is a ranch in Montana, and you say, well, if I worked hard and maybe it's my second year of following an entrepreneurial project and I'm doing fairly well, I think maybe I could accomplish that in 5 years. Sure enough, if good things happen, it's down to 3. If it takes me a little longer, maybe that's off in 10. But I just leave it on my list, not to make it an obsession. And then maybe the more I think about it, say, no, not a farm in Montana. An apartment in New York on Park Avenue. I think I'll change to that. I think that makes it easier. Let that inspire you. If goals inspire you to higher achievement of things and occasions and places you want to go and things you want to see and people you want to meet, if only a little of it comes true, but all of it served as inspiration along the way to do better and work harder and say maybe some of these goals will be closer than I thought now, it looks exciting. All of that serves you well. Who cares how close you got? Who cares if you set 200 goals and only got 10? It doesn't really matter. And I think if you make it that easy on yourself, tear up the list if you want to, start over. I've gotten some better information now. I'm not going to go for that. How about something else? I think that's the key. I make it easy. Make a list of what you want and start checking off the things that are easy to get on your list. A lot of little things that you start checking off, and then let the rest of it all unfold. But you might as well dream about, having an upstairs maid and a downstairs maid. If you happen to visit a rich man's home and say, wow, that's the life for me, I'm going to put that on my list. The guy's got a limousine and a driver. You say, wow, someday that's for me. And then later you say, no, this limousine and driver deal, that's not for me. But let it inspire you in the meantime. Why not? Even if you change your mind, threw that out, put in something else. One of my friends brought me on his Learjet the other day from San Jose to Van Nuys, close to my home. I thought, wow, it'd be nice to have a jet like this. But I think it only seats 4 people or 5. It was really small. Then he's got an 8-passenger helicopter, pilot and a co-pilot and 6 passengers. It's the latest state-of-the-art, fine machine. Then I thought I'd like to live in a mansion and have all the stuff. But then I go visit someone who's got the mansion and the security and the servants and the groundskeepers, and this whole house is just almost like chaos. And you have a cup of coffee and you drink it and you can't even set your own coffee cup down. Somebody comes and takes it away. And I say, with my temperament and style, this is really not for me. I've got to live a little more simple life. But for someone else, a house full of servants and groundskeepers and security and the whole entourage, that's for them. But if they wanted it and later changed their mind to live a little more serene life, then that's okay too. Did you ever get that mansion on the hill with all those servants that, yeah, I went for that for a while, but the more I went to some places where people lived like that, the more I thought, no, this is really not for me. Having my fishing line in a tranquil stream in Montana, I think now suits my style a little better. I did a seminar in each city in 13 cities a month. I had the elaborate entourage. It was unbelievable. One day I decided, someday I shall have no office, I shall have no secretary, I shall be free. And sure enough, that day finally arrived. People ask me now, what is your email address? And I say, I do not have one. I do have a website that someone else runs, but I have really simplified my life. A company that I do a lot of business with around the world asked me, do you want an office? I said, no. I said, do you want a secretary? I said, no. Then I did say once, yes, I'm going to have this satellite and put a fax machine in my motorhome so that I can be in touch but out of reach. I want somebody to say, yes, you can contact him, but you can't find him for a while. You know, he's not gone forever, but he's gone for a while. So I do seek solitude, chances to get away. My farm in Idaho, overlooking Snake River, is a great place to get away and deal in agriculture and build a few homes. A little change of pace from flying all around the world. It's exciting for me. But for now, right, I have no office and no secretary and no email address, and so I managed to escape most of it. And I think you just have to really make the hard and fast decisions. I did a speech one time, and the title of my speech was, Today I Am a Wealthy Man. Didn't have much to do with money. But here's what I said. I want you to jot these notes down. Here was number one. I said I'm wealthy because of my heritage, my parents, my grandparents. My grandmother studied nutrition, passed it on to my mother. Back in those days when my mother studied and practiced nutrition, she was called like a health nut, right? Do you go back that far, right? Your parents or grandparents? They were called health nuts. They were studying vitamins and they were studying this. Mama used to mix up some of this stuff for me and Papa and said, if this don't kill us, I think it'll help. And we're, gagging this stuff down. My mother, with the practice and study of better nutrition, extended her life at least, the doctor said, at least 20 years. Said if your mother hadn't have done that, she wouldn't have lived that extra 20 years. He said when your mother died, the walls of her heart were paper thin. He said how she lived this last 20 years is incomprehensible. And then I told him, Mama used to do all the juices, had the distiller to distill the water, all the stuff that was considered kind of kooky, right? Back in the 40s and the 50s and 60s. Herbs and twigs, something to smoke. But Mama did all that stuff, extended her life over 20 years. My father lived to be 93, never had a major illness. I've never had one. Passed it on to my children, my grandchildren. Unbelievable. My heritage. What's that worth? It's worth a fortune. So you got to contemplate every once in a while your blessings, and part of your blessing is your heritage. Next is the heritage of your country. We that come from the free country, engaging in enterprise to start with $1 and make a fortune, become a millionaire. What value is that heritage? It's unbelievable. We enjoy the benefit of courts we didn't start. We enjoy the benefit of laws we didn't create. We enjoy the benefit of learning institutions we didn't found. We enjoy the benefit of medicine we didn't discover. Wow. Heritage. Next, I said, I'm a wealthy man because of my experiences. Experience makes you rich. Here's what you must treat your experiences as: commodity. You must treat your experiences as high value. You must treat your experiences as capital so that you can invest in the future what you've learned in the past. My experiences now have taken me around the world. A birthday celebration last year, right, in 16 cities. It was one of the most unbelievable experiences of my life. A group got together in Italy and gave me a helicopter tour of Sorrento, Naples, Vesuvius, the Isle of Capri, Pompeii from the air. Wow. Unbelievable experience.
God is not going to let the opposition delay you from your destiny. He has already scheduled your destiny moments. It may feel like you're falling behind. The opposition is holding you back. Stay encouraged. At the right time, that adversity is going to hurry out of your way. Red seas can't keep you from your purpose. God knows how to part those waters. Legal situations, companies that seem bigger, stronger, they can't stop God's plan for your life. It may feel like you're stuck. You don't see anything improving. Don't worry. God knows how to do a quick work. It can happen suddenly.
let me give you 3 steps to start life change that can change your life, your personality, your lifestyle, everything can change. Here's the steps. Number 1, find out how things work. The first key to doing better is find out. To change your life, really, you need ideas. There isn't anything an idea can't change. And Schultz taught me the major problem is lack of an idea, not a problem. At first, I didn't have any money. I said to Mr. Schultz, I don't have any money. He said, that's not a problem. Now, see, up until then, I always thought it was. Right? I was confused. He said, no, the problem is lack of an idea on how to create money and wealth. It isn't lack of money, it's lack of ideas. So if you get the ideas, see, you can change anything. Now, to get ideas, you need a constant study of finding out. Now, Schultz also said, when you find out something that works, put the information in your journal. Don't use your head for a filing cabinet. Put it in your journal so that you can do the next best thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Go over it. And if you repeat it, go over it, sure enough, someday, some mysterious day, the idea takes root, starts to grow, and shows up in your bank account, and your dress, and your personality, and your lifestyle. But capture the ideas in your journal. Find out how things work. Schultz gave me this word for my life change. He said, study. Great word. If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. If you wish to be wealthy, study wealth. Don't leave it to chance. Make it a study. Some people just go through the day with their fingers crossed. See, that won't do it. You've got to study the things that can change your economic, social, spiritual, personal life. Now, here's a qualifying phrase. And we'll have several of these qualifying phrases throughout the seminar. Here's the first one. You may not be able to do all you find out. I understand that. You may not be able to do all you find out, but you should find out all you can do. See, you don't want to wind up at the end of your life and discover that you've lived only 1/10 of it. And the other 9/10 went down the drain. Not for lack of opportunity, for lack of information. So that's number 1, find out how things work. Now here's the best human virtue for finding out, curiosity. Make a note of that. Curiosity. Be curious. You might add a word to it that'll help. Childish curiosity. What will kids do if they want to know something bad enough? Bug you. That's the phrase. They can ask 1,000 questions. You think they're through? They got another 1,000. They'll drive you to the brink. It's a virtue. When you gotta know, be like a child. In fact, Jesus, the master teacher, said, unless you can become like little children, you might as well forget it. You don't have a prayer. Excellent advice. You gotta be like children. 4 ways, in my opinion, to be like a child. Number 1 is curiosity. Number 2 is excitement. Get excited like a child over your ability to make yourself do anything for change. 3rd is faith. Have faith like a child. Adults are too skeptical. And 4th is trust. Trust is a childish virtue, but the rewards are incredible. Now here's the 2nd step to personal development. Okay, number 1 was find out how things work. Here's number 2. Go to work. You must now take action on what you found out. In doing business around the world, we call it game plan. Put together your game plan. One of the major things we teach on the weekend seminars, game plans. How to game plan your office. If you're in sales, you need a game plan. Kids need a game plan. You need a home game plan, social game plan, a business game plan. Everybody needs game plans. Financial independence game plan. Your investment game plan. Don't think in your head. Put it on paper. Don't operate out of your mind. Operate from paper. I often ask somebody, what are you going to do the next 6 months? And somebody starts to tell me. I say, no, don't tell me. Show me. Show me your game plan for the next 6 months. Then I can look at things and maybe I can help. But you got to operate from paper. Put it on a game plan. Take action on what you found out. Now here's the best word I know of to go with action. Massive. See, that'll change everything. Massive action is called the cure-all. If you're going to make calls, make a few thousand. If you're going to make contacts, make a few thousand. If you're going to knock on doors, knock on a few thousand. See, that'll change everything. Here's the language of the poor. I'll try it a time or two and see what happens. It's the way poor people talk. The guy says, well, I'll give it 30 days. 30 days. You could guess his bank balance. You've got to have a better game plan. So here's one of the major things to do starting tomorrow. Take a look at your game plan. If it isn't loaded with massive action, change it tomorrow. Action. The formula really works like this. Pick up a good idea, take heavy action. Pick up a couple of good ideas, take heavy action. That's the formula for success. Heavy action. It's a good thing we can edit all this, right? The formula for success, take heavy action on a good idea, right? That's the ratio. Now here's the key. Don't wait till you've learned 2,000 or 3,000 things. Because that way you'll use up all the time. And you could wind up smart and broke. And hey, it's okay to be dumb and broke. But if a guy's smart and broke, that's pitiful. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. You'll become a fool. Let your learning lead to action. You can become wealthy. And there's many kinds of wealth. I understand that. Not just money. Money's one of the least of all values. I know some people with a lot of money that are very poor. Evita sings, as for fortune and as for fame, they are illusions. They're not the solutions they promise to be. So there's all kinds of wealth, but to get a big share coming your way, you've got to have a heavy action game plan. Now, here's the third step to personal development, and we'll wrap up personal development. Step number 3, it's just a little caution, and all through life we need little cautions. This one simply says, don't try to beat the system. Find out how it works, work it, but don't try to beat it. Some people learn just enough to start slicing it, shading it, thinning it, cutting corners, and looking for cheap answers. See, don't fall for that. You'll wind up with a cheap life. Find out how it works best and do it that way. Even though it seems to take a little longer, do it right. Don't compromise with right. Now, under this step, here's another key. Be a quick learner. Don't let it take long to teach you. Learn quicker. One guy said he broke his nose 7 times in the same place. Somebody says, looks like you'd stay out of that place. Learn quicker. Now, the third point here is don't be stubborn. See, some people won't change even when a better way comes. say, well, I've been doing it this way 30 years. Hey, be ready for change. If it's a better way, go for it. But don't try to beat it. Or you'll be like the guy that went to Las Vegas. He didn't have much money, so he didn't want to risk his money gambling. But he gets to Las Vegas and the jackpot bells are ringing, the money's flowing, the lights are flashing, and he can't help himself. He's got to gamble. But instead of gambling with his cash, he decides to play the mental gambling game. And the brilliant scheme he worked out goes like this. He'd pick a number like number 3. Mentally, he would bet a certain amount of money on the number. And whether it won or lost, he would jot down that amount in his little pad. I would have won $5 if I'd have made that bet, just to keep track of it, win or lose. That way, come midnight, he can calculate how he's doing, win or loser, how much, only not his money. Keep his money. Just play this mental gambling game. So here he is around the gambling table, everybody else shelling out their hard-earned cash. He's got this brilliant scheme. Instead of betting with his money, he's betting with his mind, and he lost his mind. Which means don't try to beat the system, I guess.